Tevez sta solo, Tevez all'interno dell'area, fuori tutti, Tevez, si apre la porta, Tevez, gol, da dietro, Pirlo dentro,
Well, here we are. Ciao Juventini. Welcome
Hello, everybody.
back to the All Juve cast. Of course, it's All Juve all the time. I've got Anthony, I've got Luca. We are walking into a little bit of a hotbed looking at this live chat already. I didn't even get a chance in the green room to look at all of the comments. It's going to be a fiery one today.
Yes, it is.
We've been at boiling point for a while as fans, and now it's just the lows keep coming, and they're just at it's unreal. Like we talked about yesterday, just breaking records in all the wrong areas and setting new all-time lows. And yesterday was no different, given Maccabi Haifa their first Champions League victory.
Congratulations.
Nasty stuff. Falling to them 2-0 in Israel. And it's ugly. It's ugly. We're gonna get to a couple of these. Okay.
Yeah.
So Jeremiah saying, to be honest, I wasn't shocked. The worst is yet to come. Whenever I see Max and the players on TV, I actually say, I hate you guys. As a fan, that's how disconnected I feel at the moment with Juve. Wow.
A little intense.
Okay.
Jeremiah.
Okay. We've got Bikram G. That is on a different stance here. Guys, I'm going to stand behind the club and also Agnelli and Allegri. Sometimes in life, things just don't go the way you want, no matter how hard you try. In those moments, you just have to hang in there. I don't see a lack of effort from both Agnelli and Allegri to change things here. In fact, I see the lack of effort from players, though. Both Agnelli and Allegri were at the helm when we won 5 Scudetti and 2 Champions League finals, which were unlucky to face better team than us, Real Madrid and Barca. I'm going to stop there. We are going to continue. We're definitely going to touch along the lines of how deep do we need to fall and still trust the people that are there. Now, again, you're talking about past success, but sometimes the formulas are in the support roles. And when those people leave and when those change, all things are not the same. Yes, Agnelli was there. Yes, Allegri was there. But there was a lot of other people that were involved that aren't currently. And sometimes it's a full formula, and it's a bunch of people that are missing. Characters that were massive and important to that moment in time. And I think what we're starting to find too is trying to recreate the past just ain't working.
No, it's not working. Now, here's the tricky part. I don't think people quite understand. Where do we start today, Al? Because there's a lot of people who want to hear a lot of different things.
Let's go backwards. Start from the end of the game and come forward.
Here's where we start. We start getting the business out of the way. So everyone that's tuning into this podcast on your audio, let's get over to YouTube right now, subscribe to the channel, and take in all the extra content, daily update videos, and match day lives and whatnot.
And the live chat, by the way.
Regardless of what's happening. And right now is probably an intense time to follow, because I've been saying, when things get rocky, when things get tough, it makes those victories sweeter. Juve will be back. We just don't know when. And right now it's hard to picture them back, but they will be. Okay. Start the timer, start the ticker. We'll see. You can take bets on how long it's going to take. They will be back. Mark my words.
I got the over.
We ain't going anywhere.
5 years.
But now that that's out of the way, this Maccabi match, okay. I don't think we need to get into the details on the highlights, because there's way too much to talk about surrounding the aftermath, really. As far as the game goes, again, you just have something that is a first half that's absolutely beyond abysmal. Okay. Second half, it was better. I still question it, like I did Bologna, like I did Maccabi's first match, because we had a second half that was piss poor against Maccabi. And honestly, this one, the second half, how much of it was our own doing and how much of it was Maccabi feeling very comfortable against a lackluster Juve? to be
That's a good
honest.
point. That's a good point. I think the substitutions probably had a lot to do with it. What I'm going to start off with is saying that our starting lineup still should beat that team.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Right.
There is
So
a
people
lot
want
of
to come in and complain about
roar,
like, why did
about
Ugani
the
start?
lineup and whatnot, but come
Doesn't
on.
matter.
At the
Yeah.
end of the day, I think we're starting to find, and again, our own managers, savior, Angel Di Maria, did absolutely nothing while he was in there before leaving injured. I'm telling you, this faith and this false hope in players returning and gonna just turn everything around. The issues run much deeper for me. And I don't see talent bailing us out and picking us out because honestly, there's no belief. When there's no belief, there's not enough hard work being put in because you don't believe that you're gonna get the rewards out of it. And you have those right there. I don't care how talented you are. It's not coming together. That's for me. I don't know what you guys think about that statement I just made, but what do you think?
I have nothing to add. It's
Great. Thanks for coming to the show, Luca.
Peace, bye.
But I watched an interesting post game yesterday. Davum, is it Davum 23?
Davum, yeah.
Davum.
Yeah.
He does a good job. He had a very interesting take on it yesterday. People are asking him, Luca, just sit down, man. You're starting to bug me already. We're only 6 minutes into this thing. He had a very interesting take. He said a lot of people were saying, "Hey, why aren't you upset about this?" And he's upset at himself for not being upset. He's like, we've grown accustomed to losing, and that is a problem.
Yeah.
Being in the situation where we're accustomed to losing, and I think that's where basically you and I are at. Al. We've talked about this a lot. It's like you're almost feel a little bit disconnected because you're like, this isn't the team that we remember, and that's why I'm not upset today because it's like I'm not surprised. I'm upset a little bit, but am I really surprised? No, based on our recent track record, I'm not. So, and it's that pit, man. Have you guys ever seen Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey? Remember that movie?
Oh yeah.
When they're falling in the pit and they're yelling, and then the pit just keeps going. They just keep going down. So they just decide to play 20 questions. Right now, we're just playing 20 questions in an endless pit.
Yeah, that's the worst part. The worst part is that yesterday wasn't a surprise whatsoever. It was not a surprise. And that's the worst part about it all is that you can sense it, you can see it when it's happening. You're like, yep, we are getting what we deserve because there's been no progress made. Actually, I can't even say there's no progress made. There's progress been made in a massive amount. It's in the wrong damn direction. Okay. We've gotten far worse. So as far as Allegri goes, I'm going to double down on my latest stance on Allegri that he's had enough time. I'm also now looking at Agnelli, and I think it's going to take wholesale changes, in my personal opinion. I don't see the people involved getting us out anymore. I think we start with the words. Coming out immediately after the match. And it's everybody. Everybody was getting in there. Even Marquisio kind of trying to maybe cool things down in terms of, stating, look, why are we so quick looking to blame everybody? He's like, you can't forget who we are along to those lines. Well, no, Claudio. The reason we need to look at change and we need to sort this out and maybe find who's responsible and hold them accountable is because that is exactly who we are. At Juve, there was a standard. There was a standard. You were held to it. If you didn't match up, you were gone because the steamroller had to keep moving. You were either part of the steamroller or part of the pavement. And now, unfortunately, we've become the fucking pavement. So
there it is. 9 minutes, Luca.
I don't agree with Claudio saying
Head the under.
Playing this blame game. Look, the guys at the helm right now are not getting it done. They're not getting it done.
Yeah, man, it's you can point your fingers at everybody, and you can also point your fingers at nobody, right? Like it's such a problem where you could, skank out, hashtag skank out. I get it. I don't want to say that we're finally turning on the ownership. You have to we all support the club. That's what we're doing here, right? We all support the club. I think we also have to have some hope that they're going to turn this around, or else we wouldn't be here, or else we just shut it down. Let's go do something else. I think we have some hope. I stand behind Agnelli. I do. I think, you can't forget that we had 9 Scudetti in a row. So I'll stand behind him. The Allegri thing, really shaky ground. I'm finding that one tough. But something needs to be shaken up. And I agree with you there, Al. Something needs to be shaken up at the core to figure out how we get these players. Or is it the players? Or is it all 100 people that work for Juventus? Like, we don't know what that answer is. And I don't know if yesterday wasn't a shakeup, I have no idea what it's going to take. And I don't think, and maybe some people in the chat here may have an idea, but
we need a culture shock, in my personal opinion.
Luca, what is that?
It's lost from the top. It's lost from the top. I think the words of those involved bear no weight anymore.
Mm-hmm.
What Agnelli says matters nothing to the players anymore. It doesn't mean anything. When you come out in your post-match comments, okay, this is Agnelli. One of the most difficult evenings and periods since I've been president of Juventus. I take full responsibility.
I want to hear Max say that.
I feel ashamed and apologize for what happened today. Allegri is the right person to get us out of this situation. He'll stay. It's a question of the group and not one person. It's not the coach's fault that we can't even make a tackle. Allegri will stay at least until the end of the season. We have 9 games in 30 days, positioning ourselves well, and a second half of the season in which we will have to be protagonists. We're talking about a group of 80 to 90 people who need to find their identity again. We have great guys who represent the present and the future. I'm thinking of Fagioli, Sule, Dusan too. We need to rediscover compactness. That's just a failure in translation towards the end there, but it doesn't ultimately matter.
The unity.
He's talking about all this. So I take full responsibility. Okay, that's all well and fine. But as far as Allegri being the right person to get us out of this situation, I don't understand what anyone could possibly be clinging to in that role. Now, we talked about this yesterday. Is the team scared to try after another manager? Because while we all can talk about Max leaving, you're not getting another high-paid manager after this.
Nope.
No.
It ain't happening. So who out there is going to be a low-cost manager that's, number one, going to walk into this dumpster fire that's going on right now? Who's going to want to walk into that, and who's going to be able to help us out? That's going to be low cost. Because stop talking about this Klopp, this Pochettino, this Tuchel stuff. Like, stop talking about that. It ain't happening.
Okay, I have a bit of a theory, and I think I'd like to hear Luca's point on this one. I think Agnelli said the right things for the present, because we have, like you said, we have 9 more games before the World Cup break. It's a lot. So I don't think there's a sense. I agree that there's no sense in changing a manager now, because you have so much coming at you before the World Cup break. I am not convinced they'll keep Max until the end of the year. I think this World Cup break is, if they're going to target a new manager, it's going to be during that break. I think they're just saying, hey, listen, we're going to, just to sort of appease the fans, which isn't really working because we're all pissed. I think until the World Cup break, they're going to ride with Max and see how it goes, and then possibly remove him there. Luca, you think there's any chance we get rid of him at the World Cup break?
It's hard to say no, because I really want him gone. But again, it comes to the question of, who do you replace him with? Like our options are either very high salary, which obviously Max is already at, or some interim from like City of Bay, which might might not even help us. So I mean, if they're going to change, the best time to do it already passed. We all agree that it's too late now. Now the damage is done. We're probably not going to get out of the group stage. And if now they want to switch again, the best timing would be, yes, that World Cup break. But I don't know if they'll do it. I don't know if they have the
We don't typically do it
now because they've waited this long. Like, you can't stick by someone this long and then okay, now we're going to get rid of them.
Yeah,
damage is done. It's too late now.
Yesterday was for me was a turning point, but yeah, Lex brings up a good point. And interim for 6 months, you can do it. You could do, but if like, people may say Landucci, but if Max goes,
yeah, Landucci's
they'll
gone
most
too.
likely just change the whole staff.
My real problem is, and I brought this up last time I was on the pod, our management hasn't even stepped up and done anything. We haven't. The most change that has happened in the last 2-3 weeks has been the international break and maybe 1 or 2 wins. No, not one person was fired. Not one person was reprimanded. Not one person took blame. I haven't heard a single person come out and say it's my fault. Not a player, not a coach, not a staff member, nobody. They're all just acting as if everything is okay, which is what's infuriating.
You hear the players say it. Like, you hear like Danilo say it. I know some people are getting frustrated with what Danilo's saying. Like, it's on us. Like, you hear the players saying that. I haven't heard Max say it. Now, hopefully someone in the chat can help us out. Has there been any changes to like J Medical or the physio staff? I haven't heard anything. But if someone can quickly like Google that and let us know, because I don't.
They probably promoted.
To your point, Luca, I don't think there's been any changes.
No, they probably promoted the guy who was in charge of the medical staff. Here, take more money.
What do we got here?
Like, what's the point of waiting to the break if you're even thinking about it? And that's why when the rumors, when all this, you could see all this smoke and whatnot, and it was waiting till break. Monza was a time to react. Okay.
Correct.
They gave the international break to Max, and that was a luxury I don't think many coaches would have had after what happened to Monza. Okay.
Yep.
We come out of that break. Bologna and Maccabi are victories. However, still problems creeping in there. And a lot of the fan base still not convinced. And then you ultimately fail miserably in another big match to Milan. And then you fall flat on your face away in Israel. And again, we continue to not be able to win away from home. Setting another record that in 25 years, first 6 consecutive away games have been no victories for Juventus.
So excited.
How many, like, they're just willing to continue to go on like this. For me, I don't know, like, our ambitions are completely lost. Our standards are completely lost as a club. Like, it's
hard to argue with that.
We highlight this. Michael.
And if they're going to go with just riding this thing out and saying it is what it is, there are moments,
come on, man,
I think, when you can ride it out with who you have and try to get them to dig you out. But honestly, there's times when you just have to see that they can't get you out. And right now, Agnelli is at that point for me, even beyond. Remember when we were talking about making a coaching change and everybody was talking about Landucci coming in? And what did I say? I said, he's too closely connected to this period and what's been happening that he needs to go as well. Not that I think, terribly of Landucci or anything. He's too close-knit to Allegri and what's been going on, and the players would need a complete fresh break. Okay. I feel the same way about management. And honestly, Agnelli, Nedved, as much as I love him, like, clean break. Arriva Bene is an interesting one because he's been part of the board and kind of in with Agnelli for quite some time. That he's kind of that interesting one. Cherubini, I say 1000% needs to stay because he's got clear ideas. Yeah. He's done good work. The youth side of things, which is under his tutelage, has been incredible. But
True.
everything else, I'm serious. This team needs a culture shock because what we are, who we were, is all completely lost. And that's in my personal opinion. Okay, my personal opinion. Because Agnelli's ego took over. He became this massive ego, and it took over, and his chase to match up with these Premier sides, while I understand it and I agree with it, he still let it slide too far. And the team right now is on tilt, okay? We're on tilt. There is
It's a
no
pinball
end in
term.
sight of how
Pinball.
low we can go. Okay, yeah, pinball reference from, the fellow older guy out here, yeah.
God, I loved pinball.
Guns N' Roses pinball was sick. You can listen to Sweet Child and just okay.
I
Now,
was more Metallica guy.
as I was on this, I think it's I think you have to just wholesale changes and get a culture shock in. Do you do the wholesale changes right in the middle of a season? Honestly, Elkan might have to step in and figure something out with Agnelli. He can be a part of the club, and it could be behind the scenes, which I think will. I don't think he'll ever truly be gone, but I'm fine with that. But as far as the manager, he continues to separate himself from his players, and Max Allegri did the same thing in the presser yesterday.
Yeah, but I don't.
Let's get into what I was saying about the management wholesale changes. Go ahead, Ann.
Yeah, Alcan. They've always kept Juventus at arm's length, right?
Yep.
Those are the Agnellis who run Juventus. The Alcans never, right?
More or less.
I don't see Agnelli going anywhere. Now, I will defend Agnelli by saying that knowing people who are in those positions, similar positions, running companies, CEOs, they have a vision of doing things, and they have to stay. That's just who they are, right? They have to stay. They have a vision, and they are going to see it through. You and I may not agree with it. They don't give a shit, right? The ship is going this way, and that's where they're going to take it, and they're going to do everything they can to make sure that their vision is complete. Now, add in the Super League. I get that. I agree with you that he's trying to compete or trying to get on the same level those English clubs. To do that, you need a boatload of money. But shouldn't that be a goal, though? Shouldn't that be a goal to get to that level? It's turning out to be a little unrealistic, but that should be the goal. It should be the goal to grow the club, and I can understand what he's doing. Unfortunately, it's alienating like your main fans. The product on the field is suffering. I get it. I get what he's doing. I understand it, but to your point, Al, it's just everything is sort of starting to fall by the wayside.
The thing is,
you're hurting the fan base as well.
The coaching change, I would have acted earlier. I would have acted earlier, to be honest. And I said it earlier in the season. Like that Monza one for me, you could see the team was not there. The international break was his last chance at saving it. It hasn't happened. Ravanelli coming out and talking about the players and just saying, look, this team outside of 13 to 14 players. Well, here's the thing, Ravanelli.
A lot of players.
You're already wrong there because we don't have 13 to 14 performing consistently. Okay,
Maybe
we don't
3
have
to
13
4?
to 14 players performing consistently. So you're also failing there. So it's beyond a player thing, okay?
That's it.
When you have this many players on a roster that can't sort it out, that can't play cohesively, I'm sorry. It's not the players. I'm done talking about these players. Characterless, he says. So many are characterless. Are you telling me Maccabi is full of characters? Mons is full of characters? And no, give me a break. They are a team. They share a game plan, and they execute it together as a team. We have a manager who has no idea in the final third of the pitch, and he actually admits this on the air, saying the players have complete freedom there. And that's why we look clueless in the final third. Our best half of football in the Maccabi matches was crossing the ball in. Everybody got this false sense of hope with the second half. There's still some fans clinging on to that. Look, we dominated them. We threw crosses into the area and we're praying we could latch onto them.
Yeah.
That's all.
If you want to talk about characters, Google the guy who scored 2 goals against us and some allegations against that guy.
Yeah,
That guy's a character.
that's a real
Yeah,
character.
it's pretty intense.
Anyways, I see a couple messages here. Jeremiah said one, completely disagree. That's fine.
Well, yeah, it's okay. We don't care.
Everybody agrees with. But this one here, so this is a good example of like, okay, this
Hey,
is
Eric.
mid-season. Hey, Eric. And then it works. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm saying I can understand why they aren't pulling the trigger yet, because you just want to get through this stretch, and then you have a 2-month, basically a 2-month break where you can bring in a new manager and his crew, and they can really get established with the players that aren't going to the World Cup. It makes more sense.
It makes more sense. 100%.
I just think that makes more sense. If they were to sign Max today, I'd be all right with it. I wouldn't be against it. My point is, I can see why they would wait until a 2-month break mid-season.
Yeah,
that's it.
So
it might work, might not.
Yeah, here's the flip side.
Mhm.
And I want to bring this one up. It's fine to replace Allegri at this point, but I'm worried we're becoming a club run by the players. This will be fourth manager in 4 years at some point. We need responsibility for the players. I'm going to double this one up with this one from Mark. How can you blame Agnelli? The Juve administration spent huge money. He brought top players like Pogba, Vlahovic, Ronaldo, Di Maria, Bremer, and others. It is the coaching staff and players to blame. I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to use both of these. So, a club run by its players. I don't think that's the case. And I'm going to follow that up, why I feel it's not that way. And I'm going to follow up as why you can blame Agnelli. Okay. All in one nice little gift wrap basket. Okay. So
get ready.
Here we Number one, when you go back to Sarri, the people Agnelli put into place hired Sarri. Agnelli had personal issues with that hiring. Never stepped in at the fact, let it go through, and we hired Sarri. Okay. If we were going to get rid of Allegri the first time, I have always said it was handled piss poor. Okay. They didn't actually have a proper plan in the follow-up to Allegri's first tenure ending. Okay. So he allows his staff that he has to make those decisions, hire Sarri. Agnelli wants Sarri out come the end of the season. Okay. Sarri's gone. Agnelli circumnavigates the same people that he has in place, brings in Pirlo, okay? And then Agnelli again cuts in, steps in, and brings Allegri back, which has been nothing short of an absolute nightmare. This is not a club run by its players, okay? No. And the players are not responsible for those managers leaving, okay? It is not. And this is why Agnelli needs to take ownership of these decisions. Either number one, you don't trust the staff and the guys you have in place to make those calls, get rid of them, get somebody else in. And we can maybe all argue that that would have been the right move from the get-go. As much as I love Nedved, whatever, when Paratici left, maybe, just maybe, Nedved should have gone too, and he should have got a sporting director that can actually operate everything. And the funny thing is, how long now, how many Mercados have we heard about a new sporting director coming in to help with Cherubini going up to a general manager role? We've heard it quite a bit.
We heard it earlier in the summer, right? Is the guy from Atletico?
This summer, we heard it in the winter Mercado, and we heard it the summer before, even with those guys coming in. So it's been something that I think they've been looking at, but arguably hindsight's always 2020. But
it's a beautiful thing.
To say Agnelli is not to blame is no. I'm not getting into that. I'm not getting into that. He needs to take accountability for what he's done. There's a reason you have sporting directors and you have your staff kind of put into place. All the decisions start and end with Agnelli. Okay. Sure, he has a board there and whatnot, but come on, let's not wipe the slate clean with this guy. And I don't like sticking to the fact of what happened in past success. for the reason, like I mentioned before, there's far too many other people involved. And when you're trying to recreate something that happened in the past, it's one of the reasons I kind of don't want Conte back, to be honest. He might be the only one that clean up, but I'm starting to get PTSD from these return things.
No. Let's move forward, please.
What do you guys think about what I just laid out about Agnelli there?
Luca?
Oh yeah, I have some contradicting thoughts. I definitely think he has a lot of decision, a lot of say. I agree with that, Al. But I don't necessarily think a lot of it is bad. I think, getting him out won't solve as many issues. Because let's be realistic here. A lot of people are saying, and I've been reading this everywhere, oh, let's get some Asian or Middle Eastern guy to buy out the team, and we'll have all the money in the world. What club
We
do
already
you
have all
be?
the money in the world.
Yeah, that's I want people to notice that Elkin and the Exor Group have a crap ton of money. And there was a quote, I think, last summer when we bought, or was it last winter when we bought Vlahovic, that said that if we need the finances, Exor and Elkin are there to support us. That's not a problem. They're just not going to do it willingly unless they have a good purpose, because that's just bad business. They're not going to just throw money out the window.
And financial fair play.
Thank you. That said, I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to be a club. I don't want to be supporting a club that's run by non-Italians or non-people that don't have a history of the club. If they're from the Middle East and all they're doing is just pumping money for the fun, that's not a club that I could be totally okay with. Like you could argue that whole new direction with the new logo and the new marketing. Yeah, okay, that is a more modern trend. And I get that you want this old school mentality. That's fine. Things change. But to go out and say that you want just some guy with a lot of money running and owning your club. I mean, look, let's be realistic. Manchester City hasn't done squat, even though they've been pumping money and money every year. I don't want that. I don't think I want to support a team like that. So Agnelli is going to stay, I think. Is that a bad thing? I think he has some good ideas. I think he's got some things that do make sense. But he asked, like you said, he has to take accountability and cut the ties when needed. Like Sadi wasn't a good fit, you got rid of him. Fine. At least he won something. Pirlo didn't get the results we wanted. Again, at least he won something. Max, you go back to Max because you think he can restore what once was, but he hasn't. Why aren't you acting? That to me is the only fault Agnelli has made, is that he is not learning from his past mistakes, where it was like, I'm cutting too early. Now he's like, screw it. I'm just gonna let him sit and stew. What changed? Does he have, does Allegri have something on you? Does he have blackmail or something? Like, what's the difference between this man and the last two? That is what's frustrating to me. The only thing I'm going to shit on Agnelli for. That's it. That's my thoughts.
I think it goes back to, Al, you brought the point yesterday and 3 days ago and again this morning. I think they're afraid to pull the trigger to get it wrong again, right? And the finances for letting them go. I think those two are a bigger.
Is that enough to stop what's going on, though?
Yeah,
no, it isn't.
It's gonna get worse.
Yeah, think I can't see this sticking. And we were talking about this in the green room, and it's just like, Ant and I will have quite a bit of work experience in businesses and big businesses and companies. Luca plays that keyboard that's next to him.
I don't know
until he's established himself. But listen,
play us a tune, donkey.
Playing it safe and giving people, and if you've managed teams and whatnot, we've managed teams, we manage people, giving them circumstances to allow themselves to dig themselves out of a hole is a tricky thing. You never want to cut the cord too soon or whatnot, but at some point, this isn't too soon anymore. And in Max's own words, 6 months is all it takes. And this is part of the problem I'm having. This is the biggest issue I'm having with Max, is the lack of accountability. That separation that he's creating with players and himself. Nobody's saying the players don't need to step up and they don't need to do a better job, but I don't think you need to be, a football guru to figure out that they're lacking guidance and direction and what they need out there, to be honest, because you can't have that many guys falling short, guys that you've also seen perform well previously, maybe a couple of years back, also guys that do well when they leave on international duty, yet the second it's back at Juve, it goes to shit.
Yep.
That can't be just coincidence and whatnot. There's something more to it. Okay.
Oh.
And it just, again, I can't, players need to step up in terms of pride. Okay. But Danilo's words were coming out here saying that they're ashamed. The players are ashamed. When you have that feeling and you have your own president that's coming out saying we have no identity, we lack identity, the players are saying they're ashamed, the presidents come out saying they're ashamed. This is a tough hole to dig yourself out of. Now they go on a retreat. These retreats, okay, whatever. They're going on a retreat. They'll be at Contenassa until the Derby della Mola on the weekend. Look, it's going to take a hell of a lot more than a fucking retreat, okay? It's not going to turn around. I will say it right now, it ain't turning around. While we can agree, they don't have the leadership they once did. When people think back to that big turnaround in that season, 15, 16, whatever, there was different guys around there. It was a different feeling. It was a hard done by feeling. This is beyond a hard done by feeling. This is like we are awful and we can't figure it out feeling.
Bill and Ted in the pit. We're Bill and Ted in the pit playing 20 questions.
Think of another example.
A way out?
Perfect, Luca.
Again, it's anybody's guess who the right guy to come in, but they're not going to have the money they're not going to shell out a bunch of money again if Max goes. People that were talking about Max resign, he's not going to resign.
Yeah. This,
how about this
there's
one?
no way. Man's going to get his money.
He's not going to do it.
Would you give up 40 million euros? I sure as shit.
No.
I don't know. Are you putting out $1 million? Like, I'm not.
And here we are.
Money.
It's not going to happen. And when you hear your president come out and talk in that manner, like we're riding this thing out, there is a scary feeling there. Like it ain't going to happen this year. There's still time to salvage Serie A. You can have a positive stimulus on these players. Get a clean slate there. And hey, if you want to crucify the players after another coach comes in and he brings new ideas, fresh ideas, and they still fall flat on their face, okay, then fucking
fully agree.
Let them all out. Let them go. If you bring another manager in half season and it's still garbage, okay, well, it is what it is. But is there anything to tie Max onto for you guys? Okay, let's throw our opinions out the window right now for a second. Is there anything that would make you clamp down and double down on Max being this guy?
No. I was waiting for him to finish, but no.
There's not a single thing right now that would make you clamp down on Max.
Has he done anything to show that he deserves to still be like anything? Name one thing.
Stop it.
He's holding his thoughts. Okay, again, I've sat in this chair beside this donkey and with this guy and said many times, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give Max time to get things right. Man, that clock is like stopped working, doesn't even spin him. I don't even know where the clock is. I've given him enough time. How many games we have left? 9 till the World Cup break?
Too many.
Man.
The only thing I've heard or seen
9
anybody
wins.
Is the past. The past.
Yeah.
But even that,
it's not good enough. And for me, that even holds true to Agnelli.
Yeah, exactly. It holds true to everyone. Like, if that point, bring back Conte. Like, I mean,
wholesale changes needed. I want to bring up some of his words from the shareholders meeting too, like Agnelli. It's kind of funny too when you tie this whole thing in. It's interesting to hear what he said to the shareholders. This was October 6th. Yeah, so October 6th, talking about these things.
He did another one. He did another one last week?
Yeah, it was October 6th, yeah.
Oh, I thought you were asking for the one last year, remember? Or at the beginning of the season. Oh, okay.
Shareholder, by the way.
Come on.
Oh.
All right.
Not happy about it, but yeah.
The plan is based, this plan to, get Juve going 5 solid pillars, okay? 5 challenges that the whole of Juventus will be called on to address both on and off the pitch. financial being number one. Okay. It is clear to everyone, especially us, the economic financial balance that we lost during the pandemic years must return to drive the club's strategic choices. The extraordinary capital increase transaction was the initial step on this path. It's been devoured.
Yeah,
it's been devoured.
Yeah,
that's gone.
That's fine. We knew that.
Okay. So
you can't even find any of it in the cafeteria.
That's already gone. So that's out the window. Management. Juve's ambition is to guarantee operational excellence in every activity in support of a brand development aspiring to become attractive to the younger generations, Z and Alpha, and aiming to become truly global. Let's stop on this one for a second. Management.
Alpha generation sitting right here. This guy right here.
Guarantee operational excellence in every activity.
Okay, so operational excellence could be from like the janitors up to the cafeteria. Making sure that you have like automated lights so you're not wasting energy.
It's a big fancy word for no reason.
Yeah. The offices may run great.
Younger generation. The majority of the younger, like when I think back to, and we've heard the story. Since I started this pod in 2018, okay, it was the same thing. And I've had obviously a lot of younger people than me. It is what it is on the show. Okay. Yeah, it all was kind of the same in terms of story. You get your odd stories. The one question I always asked every single guest, how did you become a fan of Juventus? And 9 times out of 10, it's from family and it's from the older members and whatnot that bring them in. You start shitting the bed here. Okay. Don't count on those fans because nowadays it's harder to get those diehards and everything like that. But if you ain't making it happen, on the pitch, it all stops dead there. And the young generation won't give a shit because they're into flash, pizzazz, the Neymars, all this. So yeah, change that focus a bit. Okay. Sport. 3, sport. Right. It is our core business and always will be. Juventus means competing at a high level for victory. Every day and in every competition, victory is a goal to which Juventus naturally aspires, and every effort of all the men and women of Juventus will be directed towards victory, starting from the ongoing season.
Well, the U19, the women are doing that.
Yeah.
And the U23s.
Everyone but the first team.
Everyone but the first team.
Oh, shit.
2 of your solid pillars are shit. 2 of your first 3 solid pillars are shit.
I'm no engineer, but that's pretty bad.
And they're not happening. Yeah. And they ain't happening. They need repairing. Okay, this is under him. ESG for number 4. Okay, 10 years the club has been committed to issue of sustainability with projects, proper report. It's whatever. Business model, promise to keep new jet. Okay, cool. 5, political. Our industry has been inhibited by structural problems for too long, which, if not addressed and solved collectively, risk jeopardizing the European future of the most beautiful sport in the world. Here are some of them, and this is his big ploy, which is Super League. Okay.
Can I put a pin in that? Because I'm not like, a lot of people are pointing out how like he's too focused on the Super League or anything. Right, you can make that argument, but let's look over at the other fronts where his partner for the Super League, which is Perez from Madrid, is a freaking genius in this world. Not even just a modern football, but since late 90s. So I'm not totally against that, because if Perez is for it, then there's something's good about it. There's got to be a good idea behind it. So for the Super League, I'm going to say stop focusing on that. It's not affecting the performance in the field. It definitely isn't on any of the minds of the players or the staff. So Super League is not affecting our play. We're not losing to Maccabi because of the Super League. I'll make that clear and freaking simple for everybody. That's it.
That's a good point.
Like, yes, there's a bigger picture, and I know Bert's right. Like, he's gonna say there's a bigger picture.
I'm so mad.
But how do you connect the Super League to us getting our ass kicked on the field? Like, if Rabiot's not running 20 meters, it's not because he's thinking, "Oh, I'm going to make 10 mil in the Super League next year." No, he's not.
It's just a pillar.
That.
It's one of the 5 pillars.
Yeah, sorry.
No, we're not losing to Maccabi because of the focus on the Super League.
There we go.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
Hey, there we
Listen,
go.
the name's Joe Macchiato, not Captain Obvious. Get it right.
Listen,
Sheesh.
the focus on the Super League is probably, and making a comparison to Perez's team isn't in absolute shambles. And Perez's team has had contingency plans for guys that are leaving or on their way out and whatnot. And
Yeah.
he's dealt with all of them properly.
Yeah.
I highlighted earlier, Agnelli had people in place to make calls. If he does not trust them and he then circumnavigates them, get rid of them completely, get somebody in there that can make the call, because it can't all start and end with him and him be wiped with a clean slate of responsibility or accountability for what's going on. The focus on the Super League, we don't even deserve to play in a Super League. Forget about the fucking Super League for now. Like, the thing is, figure it out at home right now. We are in the midst of being mid-table team in Serie A. You're focusing on Super League. We're going to go in Super League. We're going to get absolutely rocked and kicked out of that thing in its inaugural season. And then what good is this?
Which would be another record.
League? What's that?
Hey.
That would be another record. That
First team out of the Super League.
Like,
Juventus.
what is the good in that? I get it. Financial, chasing, trying to make it an evil level playing field. And I agree with all that. But the fact of the matter is his ego, which ties into the Super League, but the Super League, take it away. His ego on his own, it ain't working. You can say those words in front of the camera yesterday that he's ashamed, that he takes full responsibility. If you're truly taking full responsibility, you act. And I'm sorry, but continuing to let the group that's been at the helm continue on with this to get them out of this hole, it ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. I don't see it happening. And actions speak louder than words. Anth, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh man, I forgot my point. I had a good one, but sorry. Carry on. I had a point and I lost it.
Actions speak louder.
I'm still falling in that hole.
Actions speak louder than words. I'm sorry.
I remembered it.
Cool.
Perez wasn't afraid, and this point was brought up. This is not original thought. This was brought up by Omer. I think it was in the green room yesterday, or it might have been on the show yesterday. Real Madrid was never afraid to fire a coach mid-season and bring somebody else in.
100%. But
right?
They also brought back ex-coaches, just like we did, which is not always the best.
But when
talked about this, we talked about in the green room, Matt.
But yeah, so when things and this is Omer's point, when things weren't up to snuff, they didn't care. He didn't care who the coach was. Oh. Out you go, or when it was.
Yeah, that's true. Very
true. The reason I wanted to bring up that discussion, like his words from the shareholders meeting and whatnot, is the ambitions. You get a completely different vibe from what he says in those to what we are actually getting. And a lot of those decisions are made by him. Okay. Stadium atmosphere, all this, like the team, the performance on the pitch, guys not being held accountable. If we want to create competition for positions at the players level, why on earth are the staff basically immune to it? A coach shouldn't be immune to that as well. And a coach should never feel safe. Okay. It's one of the things that comes with being at a big club. You should never feel safe. No manager should just feel untouchable at any of the big clubs. And if you truly have ambitions and you truly believe in what you say in these shareholders meeting, I don't understand how you can't act in a scenario like this. Again, Max, this isn't Max's first season. Okay. This is an experienced coach, and this is a coach that's 17 months in, and it's gotten worse. And I think he's at the point now where he's not going to get these players back. No. And it just comes down to whether you believe in him or not as a manager. I don't think it really matters at this point, because I don't think he can get them all back.
Yeah, I think there was some, I think it was the La Repubblica that was reporting this morning, Luca, that said there's some, like it listed the players who were on the Max's side and ones that weren't. But I saw Meretti not on his side, which is weird.
Repubblica. I mean, like that's like, nah.
It could be, yeah. But
Take
I wouldn't
every-
doubt it. I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I
no.
wouldn't
Right
doubt
now, the players they named that are on Max's side actually make sense because it's the guys that actually shouldn't be there,
it. Yeah.
which kills me.
I want to remind everybody that's here, take a second, like the video,
Oh,
okay?
come on.
Once the video
Least
ends,
you can do.
Yeah, we're
if you
going
could
through
drop
hell.
a comment in the video would be awesome too. It'd be really massive, okay? Just anything in there. Hashtag Scangout, hashtag Luca get lost, whatever, anything.
Oh,
Get these guys out.
Right now.
He said Lou at first. We're just going to touch on that one.
I
Yeah,
know.
where is Lou?
I miss
Doesn't
Luke.
matter. He's probably drunk
Yeah.
somewhere.
Listen,
Good for him.
Poor prick.
where do we go from here? Where do we go from now? Like, honestly, are we riding this thing out for his full contract? Max's full?
No way.
No.
There is no. Was
God
it 2 more
damn,
years?
no.
So, yeah, it would be another 2 after this.
Another 2
If
after
that's
this.
not going to be the problem, then if that's not going to be the case, what difference does it make trying to make a change mid-season? Like,
Yeah,
why wait? Why wait?
Yeah. We don't know the end. Can we get Anelli on the phone? Do we have his number? Luca, do you got it?
He blocked me like last year after I told him.
Guys, storm the barn. We have time for some storm the barn. Let's get into this.
Gotta get Jeremiah's. He sent it a bunch of times. Let's get his in here.
Jeremiah's been here since 7:30 a.m.
Yeah, he's
Get him on.
He camped out for tickets.
Whoever
before
just
the
said
show
lose the
started.
man.
Okay,
Yeah. Bit of a
looking
woman.
at scenarios, bring in
that?
Tudor as
That's
interim.
Lou.
Lippy is his
Burger.
advisor. Best, cheapest solution. Otherwise, just ask Pogba to use his witchcraft. Um,
Can I go on this one, please? Like just
Yep.
quickly. Yeah. Tudor was brought up in the last podcast I was on, and I'm going to say the same thing I said last time. He's doing well in France. He's on a full
Marseille?
contract. Yeah. Why would he leave? Why for us? I wouldn't.
Yeah. I hear Marseille's beautiful this time of year.
A bit wet, but yeah.
Mhm.
Wine.
So- no to Tudor simply because you don't believe, but would you take him?
Yeah, but it's not going to happen. Like you got to buy out his contract, which he won't do, and then you got to
Yeah,
pay
sure.
him, which he knows now that we're desperate, so he's going to come at us for as much money as he could get.
That's something that doesn't get talked about. That's a good point. People know that Juve is going to be desperate, and the next coach is going to be like, "Well, you paid that donkey $9 million a year. I want at least 7.5."
It ain't going to be a high-priced coach. I'm telling everybody right now.
Why?
It ain't going to be. It ain't going to be. It's going to be a cheaper option.
Ain't going to be Zidane.
Tudor, the interesting thing about Tudor is that Nicolas Gira said the relationship between Tudor and Juventus is fantastic, and that the problems were not between Tudor and Juventus. The problems were between Tudor and Pirlo, because Pirlo buddied up with his longtime friend Baronio and didn't actually let Tudor in on what was the original game plan that was put forward to Tudor. So the problem was with Pirlo, not Juventus. And he says the relationship is fantastic. If there was a return opportunity there, I don't think Tudor would say no, to be honest. As far as having to buy his contract with Marseille, no, you wouldn't have to do that. He would have to come to terms with them on letting him leave. How many teams really raise a fuss on managers when they want to leave a job?
Team's doing good.
Not
Why would he?
the be all end all. But Tudor is not far out of the question. I think it's actually probably a little more realistic than looking at these big coaches, because I don't see the funds that are going to be there. And even Conte, for those that want Conte coming in here, Conte's going to want cash. He's going to want the money, and I don't know if they're going to do it. But that's also another one that Romeo Gresti said, the relationship is nowhere near what people believe with Juventus.
So
So it's better than people think?
It's better than what people think.
Can I bring up an interesting topic in terms of coaches? Because now we have to look at, if we're going to start thinking of a replacement or an interim, you got to get somebody who could work with what he has, right? You can't bring in a Conte and expect results, because this is not a team for Conte. This is a team for Max Allegri. You got to look at these players and think, this is guys that Max wanted. He handpicked, apparently. So you got to bring in a guy who could work with the situation at hand. You can't bring in someone who needs his own mentality. Like you bring in a Sadi or a Conte who like a specific frame. It ain't happening. You need someone who could adapt. That needs to be said.
I think any coach could work with this group, to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah,
really do.
yes.
I get
I'm
what you're
not
saying that
buying into
they have-
this hard done by player thing.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Ann.
I know. I get the point that Luke is saying with Saudi and Cody, they have their systems, but I think they could manage with this group for a year or two.
Agree. I know. I'm not saying it'll be impossible. I still think replacing the coach is the primary thing. But the only silver lining here is that like 2 or 3 of these old farts are leaving at the end of the season. So at least if you do bring an interim, some of these guys he might not want are gone. So
this was an interesting.
This is a funny
comment.
one. I like this one. Dark, real dark.
Man, that City B was, and then we came back. First of all, we were minus 11. We started with minus 9 points that year, and we still finished first.
Was it 9?
So
it was more.
It was more minus 11. So
it was a not number.
And then we came back and we finished 7th 2 years in a row. So yeah, that was a pretty awful time.
Those are bad times.
It was an awful time.
Pretty bad times.
And still, I didn't feel as disheartened watching as I do now, to be honest. To be completely honest, like even in our darkest days, there was like positives, and you could latch on to at least characters or players on the team.
There's none right now.
None. Like right now,
none.
There's not a whole lot to grasp onto. I mean, we had that faith. We've been talking about it for a while. You have this faith of trying to believe that these stars are going to change it. It's a much deeper issue. You have to get a new coach in there. And I'm sorry, but I fully expected to wake up today to the news that there was at the bare minimum a coaching change. I was expecting to wake up to that news at Monza. True. After this to Maccabi, like you can still salvage Serie A if you get a manager in here now with some fresh ideas, a new outlook, and bring in a new training staff with him, bring in a new assistant coach. Like hanging on to this, now it's like a question of how much worse can it get any worse?
Wait till Chiesa comes back and looks like absolute dog shit. And then people are going to have no excuses whatsoever.
Positivity.
Why would you say that?
Because Max is going to make him look terrible. Because one, he's coming back from injury, so all the eyes are going to be on him. Already the pressure is like mounting. He's going to come back, and Max is going to have him right back.
He might be right, though, Al.
Because Chiesa didn't look good. Back, but he's going to take a while to get into the mix. Yeah. And I've never believed in this whole rely on
that's what Max
your top doing. Guys. I mean, they need to be your top guys, but my God, if you have no set system, if you don't have any foundation for these guys to latch on to, for these guys to believe, for these guys to just have any kind of hope to dig themselves out, there's nothing of substance there. There's nothing foundation.
The fuck is this?
Clown Natala out. I love that one.
That's pretty good, Sweaty. If Allegri lost the restroom, why?
Yeah, take his side.
Thank you for the support there. Okay, love it. For all those you wondering how to support, super chats enabled, just like Sisman applied here, and of course check out the merch, Striped Hearts Apparel. Link to the YouTube channel now. We just had 5 days of 15% off, so thanks to everybody who took advantage of that. But there's a ton of cool designs out there. The latest ADP, and Principino's nice. If he's lost the dressing room, why keep him? And that's just it. I mean,
good point.
In interviews, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. It's not that it's a for sure that he's necessarily lost the dressing room. And sometimes there's situations where the coaches don't lose the entire dressing room, but they lose a portion. We don't know, and nobody's going to know that because you're not going to be able to. We don't know. We don't have that type of inside sources to see. SMS in January. We talked about that yesterday. Don't bank on that.
Lotito came out today and said, "Yeah, he was worth 100 million.
Now he's worth.
I'm not going to 120.
120. Fucking Lotito.
So. Yeah, Michael Razzo saying, "Do you expect the ultras to be protesting?" I don't think the ultras are going to do anything about it. They're banned anyways. They're banned, what are they? A protest outside the stadium? I mean,
that's something else I'm going to bash on Allegri for. Agnelli for. I think a lot of the support of this team comes from that stadium, and if you have no support in that stadium, like it really has to. It says a lot about this club. Like I watched that game yesterday, and I barely had the volume up, and I heard the crowd like way above the play or the commentator. It was incredible atmosphere, and man, do I miss that. Man, do I miss that. It makes a difference, guys. It really does.
So
PSG sold out.
Poor bastards.
yeah, that sucks. That sucks for everyone that spent a lot of money and now it's not gonna.
Poor Maurizio. He's definitely he's definitely there.
So they got another tie. PSG and Benfica drew again. Okay.
Did they? Oh,
So
Yeah.
they're at 8 points and we're sitting at 3. Say we beat Benfica, we go to 6. They stay at 8. Benfica still plays Maccabi in the last match. We would have to win.
Every
We'd have to
game.
beat Benfica and PSG.
Yeah.
Right now,
Do you guys even
That-
care if we make it to Europa League? Do you even care?
I care.
Do you even
But-
want us to?
Yeah, like I'd like to watch something during the week. You know, it's just a little more extra. But
Al?
it would be like, obviously, it's still a competition. It's still something you want to do. But overall, the feeling around this club right now is that
that's like it's 2 a.m. You're already pissed drunk.
can you take an embarrassment in the Europa League?
Okay.
I took one yesterday.
Yeah, I was gonna say
So-
it's so.
In Champions League to Maccabi, do we want more of that? Do we think that there's a bigger, like more element of damage to these players and their psyches?
Mm,
Like say we go to Europa League and all of a sudden these guys can't pull it through in Europa League.
Well, they're not pulling through anywhere else. So
What's
fucking-
this gonna do for these guys? Like
I'd want to see 90 minutes of Meretti and Sule.
I would
Go
agree
to the
with you.
circus.
I would say, hey, you know what? We're in Europa. Let's let the young guys go, and I'd
Yeah, why
actually
not?
be on board with that. And to be honest, credit to Sule who showed some chops yesterday coming in
Really,
there.
the only one who did.
Yeah,
Well, I thought Keane.
King actually,
Keane
that's
was
2
open.
straight cameos where he came in working hard and looking good.
Yep.
But
Except
was
for
he
that
looking
one
good
cross.
because the others were just so goddamn bad and like I don't know. But he had 2 good cameos.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
And the funny
Yeah.
thing was, Max didn't start him because he didn't look good in training the day before, apparently. something like
Wait. You're
So
telling me Rogani, Paredes, and McKennie looked good in training the day before? Oh, I'm sorry.
Some
I
players
must have
look
been-
really good in training, man.
Yeah, like Al said, Sandro looks always good in training. He didn't look great yesterday. I don't know.
I didn't think Sandro had a
listen,
shot. Well, he should have closed that one down.
Yeah, he should have.
Come on, man.
it's
Jeez.
tough.
You know.
It's tough. Ron Rossitano, you're coming in saying they're paid pros. If that damages them, do we really want them playing for Juve? Well, that's an interesting, it was a good way to put it. I mean,
Good point.
honestly,
Yep.
how much of this? So, how much do you guys put on the actual players themselves? Because we've talked a lot about Agnelli, we talked about Allegri. How much are we putting on the players?
45%.
I talked about this yesterday. So, Luca, go ahead.
45%. I mean, yes, there's a lack of desire and and motivation, and you see them just walking. But where does that stem from? Like that stems from the lack of motivation, and that comes from your leader. Like if there's no one leading on the field and no one leading you off the field, like I think that stems from just leadership, not from the player. Like because we've seen them run, we know they can run, and we know yesterday we saw the guys come off the bench wanting something, but it's not all on them. Yes, there's a large majority that's them, but I think it's not all of them. I think it's 45%, 40, 45 around there. Yeah.
And
Okay. Here's my thing with that. We sort of talked about it. They are paid professionals, and they are on the field, and it's been drilled into them to follow a certain system by the manager. So you can't have players just going rogue on whatever the system is, because that's just going to leave gaps. So they're like, there's 0% of the problem in one aspect because they're doing what their manager wants them to do. And they're put in positions by their manager to execute a specific system. So is that 50%? Is that 0? So is that 100% on max? I don't know how to put a percentage on it, but they can't just be like, we can't have half the team fall in the system and the other half not, because it's going to be erratic out there, even though it looks erratic now. But you can't have players just doing whatever they want.
Yeah. So we've got Michael Razzo saying 20% Agnelli, 60% Allegri, 20% the players. We have Yorio saying players have as much responsibility, but the coach is playing the team. He picks the lineup, and it's easier to blame one person than 11. When we talk about the players themselves, I mean, I just can't fathom this many of them. Again, when they go to international break, they play well, they come back. We have this many players not performing. You have Locatelli, who did great at Sassuolo, had a good Euros, solid Euros with Italy.
Played well yesterday.
You have Vlahovic, who was battling for Capocannoniere. He's like one of the most promising strikers out there, falling flat on his face. you have just go through the
even
list.
Bonucci looked good
Paredes
against Zuni.
apparently is supposed to be this guy. So I haven't seen it. Whatever Paredes is supposed to bring.
Starting a new agenda there, by the way.
Wasn't
Di
Kostic
Maria
up there
is
with
supposed to be
assists
the
last
savior,
year?
and he, for the large part, has not really been it in the minutes he's played. He's out now for 40 days, apparently.
Every
close to it
single
anyways.
international player looks better with their national team. That's a fact. And the ones that aren't even called up are somehow still starting for this club. That bothers me.
Like, there is a major, major problem going on right now, and I think the players, as far as putting blame on them, of course they're responsible at the end of the day, because I don't like the attitude. I don't like the attitude and the body language out of the players. But again, I can't help but think and look, and again, I just use work experience, right? And I use some team experience from sports, but maybe some people in the live have been in that position or whatnot. I've seen people in a position when you don't believe in the ones ahead of you and the decisions they're making. If you start to not enjoy what you're doing, your performance will suffer tremendously in some cases.
Yep.
And can you believe?
That's why I stopped playing. That's why I stopped playing soccer for a lot of years, because it turned into a job, and I didn't want to do it anymore.
I thought it's because you had no knees left.
No, that was way before the knees. Even way before.
So basically, when we're going back 1960s, guys, like back when there was still no color TV.
So, and what about in a professional atmosphere, in a work atmosphere? Like, I'm sure you've seen it.
Oh,
yeah. Like, so I guess they have that new term called quiet quitting, which is whatever, where you just go, you start at 9, you just finish at 5, you do your thing, you don't do any extra, you don't put any extra work in, you're in, you're out. Word of the wise, don't do that when you're Luca's age, because you can do that when you're my age, because you already, when you're younger, you should put in the extra hours, do more to get ahead.
Yeah.
I've seen it, and it doesn't end well for people. In a business sense, you should always be striving to do better, to work, put in the extra hours, the extra practice, I guess, in this sense. But they might be doing it. I really don't know, because we're not in the building.
And point to that now is that for a few years we were lucky. If, let's say, our past coaches were slacking, we had leaders on the bench in the team. Now we've got what? Bonucci. Rabiot?
Well, another thing you have to look at is that you have, whether you want to call them leaders or veterans, like you have Quadrado and Sandro, who are veterans, right? We can call them veterans.
Yeah, they've been there a while,
and they're out of contract at the end of the year.
Yeah, so why do they care? Exactly.
You know what I mean? How much leadership are you getting out of those guys who have already been? The club's already said publicly, yeah, we're not going to renew their contract. So,
not to mention they're playing like shit.
Yeah. So,
where's the
these
lead?
players, KB87, these players get paid millions and play like this. It's
they're still human beings, though.
Still
humans.
That's true.
Sure, They need to play better. I don't like the body language. I don't like the attitude. But again, for me, that's telling of them not having a sense of belief.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They do not believe that they don't believe they can get the job done. It's clear. There is a lot of doubt all over that team. Ultimately, it's up to your leader to instill that belief in the team, in the players. Like
Mhm.
there's nothing there to grasp onto. Like I said, if you wanted to think about sticking through with all involved and Max included, there has to be something there to hang on to. There are some that have resorted to now saying, and I want to get Anth and Lucas' thoughts on this, ride it out this year, the chips land where they land, and then you clean the slate because Sandro, Quadrado, Rabiot, they're all going to be gone, and you write this as a one-off season, and you look to pick things up next season. How do you feel about that? Because that is what I'm starting to pick up
No.
now on social media and certain
No.
outlets. How do you guys
Luca?
think about that?
I think it's gonna be too late. By next, like, it's gonna be that bad that by the summer, Madrid's gonna come in, give 70 million for Vlahovic. He's gone. He's still got some potential. I mean, I'm not saying he'll leave, but I think that would be too much damage at that point. Like, who's gonna want to play for a coach who, like, next year? I don't care if Max is a god by next year. This year is now. We're talking about the present, not the future. If he loses the locker room now, how is he ever gonna get it back? Like, it's just going to keep getting worse and worse. I don't think we could just write it off. You need to fix it now because next year it's next year.
Yeah.
You got to change now before you can think about the future. Like, I don't care.
Anth, what do you think about riding it out and then seeing those players that need to go move and then trying a clean slate?
Well, either way, those players are leaving, right? So so we're going to be riding. We're going to see next year what happens after those players leave. How much it all comes down to how much damage is the club willing to take? Are we willing to finish 7th
Yeah,
or 8th
financially
and
too.
miss
That's
out
going to
on
hurt
all
us.
European competitions and then
No.
not play in Europe next year?
Yeah.
Is Agnelli ready to financially take
No.
on that risk?
We can't.
Maybe he is. And that's why he's riding it out to the spring, not spending any money, maybe spend some money in January. Again, we don't know. I don't think that's the case, but they may say, listen, this is our team, this is our coach, we're going to ride out, be damned what the results are. Well, we're obviously going to try and compete, but if we finish out of Europe, so be it.
Watch him put us all through hell, only to know that the Super League will be finalized. A massive influx of hundreds of billions of dollars comes
It
in,
won't
and
be
all of
enough.
a sudden, boom. Yeah, you know what? We'll clean up this roster, one foul swoop, and then Max cleans things up. Yeah, that was my dream
hires
last night.
Conte.
It ain't happening, everybody. It ain't
And
happening.
hires
Conte.
Conte.
It ain't happening. Look, yeah, I mean, some that want to believe that, I think it's going to be too late. And if we fall too far down, we're probably going to lose more than Sandro, Quadrado, and Rabiot. I mean, Vlahovic is a risk to not want to stick around for that, especially how this season's been
Champions
going.
League is a
for him.
big
Like,
selling point, guys.
it's a little frustrating. Statistics
so.
aside, just body language. Again, look at the body language of these players. And again, we talk about players. I will say this. Players that have gone have performed to a better extent than they were at Juve.
Mm.
They have. There's
Yeah.
something to it. There's
They're
something.
all doing better.
I can't just simply put it on the players. For
They're
me,
all doing
what I
better.
need out of the players is I need that fight. I need that grinta. That's not there, but it's deeper because they just don't believe. They have nothing there. It's frustrating. This Retiro, let's see what happens. Okay. Hopefully it works out to our benefit because I think Agnelli's made it pretty clear. And if there hasn't been action yet, we might have to stick to the latest bit of news, which was World Cup break might be that deciding point, might be that little bit of reprieve from the season that the management needs to ultimately either pull the trigger or really clamp down. I think after the World Cup break, everybody, we will know the true intention with Allegri. I don't think we're going to see it up until that point. So strap on your seatbelts, everybody, and buckle up. The ride has been bumpy so far, and there's no
We're not
end
going
in
anywhere.
sight for the turbulence. Okay, so
No.
let's see what happens. Retiro, we've got the Derby della Mola, and my God, win that game, Juve. Come on. So Derby della Mola on Saturday. We're going to be live 8 p.m. Eastern time for the match day live, and then I'll bring you the watch along, okay? And I will do a watch along for the Derby
There
della
you go,
Mola.
Luca.
Fingers crossed we get a victory, boys. Yeah, we got to start turning the tides one game at a time. Let's see what happens. As far as big wholesale changes, which I believe need to happen, starts with coach. Let's wait till after the World Cup break. I don't think we're getting anything until then. Yeah. Ant, Luca. Well, more Ant. Thank you. Luca,
You're welcome.
you were here.
I'm having a headache, and I'm still here, and I'm still getting shat on.
I told you, you're getting flack until you learn to play We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel on that goddamn keyboard
Come on.
live on air.
Come on, hit us with it. Right now. Do it. Billy Joel.
He's out.
Perfect.
Come
He's
on.
back.
One day. That's the only stipulation
Yeah.
Luca
Queuing
had
up a fart,
on
but
the
I
team.
guess that got
We
cut
never
off
really
when we
did
pushed
like
out.
an initiation thing for members, but that's yours, and we're putting it
Yeah.
in place.
I've been here longer than I've been here longer than him. What the fuck?
Yeah.
You're
I
gonna
don't
do
do
that?
You never went
initiations.
through initiation, so yeah.
Neither did he.
I don't do
I just grew a beard
initiations.
and just got on the show. Like, chill.
Everybody, appreciate the live. You guys were on fire today. It's tough moments to see
shit.
Juve like this. All we can do is number one.
Pray.
I always say this. Well, yes, pray is one.
Drink
There's
responsibly.
a couple things we can do. Do not let it get to you. Okay. Still take the time, enjoy. I mean, go touch grass for Christ's sake. Get out, enjoy yourselves.
He means
All right.
natural grass.
Good session. Grazie, crazy Italian 3. Okay. Sometimes I say
What the
if
fuck
it
shit?
wasn't for this show, it would be a hell of a lot worse. It's nice to come out here, vent, air your opinions, air your thoughts, get your comments in. You guys are fantastic. Even when we reach high numbers like that, there's a lot of respect in there. The AJC Army is second to none. So big kudos to all of you today. Okay. And we will chat on the weekend. We're going to get ready for the Derby della Mola Match Day Live. Then I'll do a watch along. And I hope that I have some damn goals to celebrate in that Derby della Mola. But hopefully you can all join and take in that watch along. So no beer at 7 a.m.
Not
No
with that.
beer
Not,
at
no,
7 a.m.
no. That hair is
No
going to be
beer
all
at
over the
7
place.
a.m.
It's Wednesday.
Maybe.
Oh, fucking Wednesday.
Maybe.
Chill.
We'll see.
Wednesday,
But
man.
no. Grazie again, as always. No matter what, fino alla fine. Forza Juve. Let's just take it one game at a time.
One at a
Michael,
time.
you're very welcome. Ciao tutti.